Tonight on NewsWatch Ole Miss, severe weather is headed our way tomorrow. We'll tell you what to be on the lookout for coming up.
As name, image, and likeness deals change the landscape of college athletics, we'll take a look at people on both sides of deals in our community.
We'll see. I don't read anything into it until I see what their actions are.
And Russia is claiming to withdraw forces from Ukraine following the latest peace talks, but U.S. officials aren't ready to trust it just yet. The latest on the war in Ukraine is straight ahead. NewsWatch Ole Miss starts now.
Good evening and welcome to NewsWatch Ole Miss. I'm Celeste Lay.
And I'm Annabelle Kinney. Today's warm weather isn't sticking around as the state of Mississippi prepares for another round of severe storms. The National Weather Service has now upgraded the entire state to a moderate risk for severe weather. The top threats to look out for are damaging winds and potential tornadoes. Possible strong winds that could reach 60 miles per hour have placed us in a wind advisory from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. tomorrow, and strong storms are expected between 2 and 6 p.m. So make sure you have multiple ways to receive alerts or in somewhere to seek shelter if necessary.
Speaking of severe weather, students in the Oxford and Lafayette County school districts may let out early tomorrow. The OSD has set dismissal times for all campuses in case of severe weather. Bromlett, Central, and Della Davidson will dismiss at 12:20 p.m., and Oxford Intermediate, Middle, and High Schools will dismiss at 1:15 p.m. Lafayette County schools are also closely monitoring tomorrow's weather and may release students between 11:30 and 1. Officials in the district will make an announcement before 11:30 if they decide to let out early, and OSD will make its official announcement tomorrow by mid-morning.
Law enforcement secured Oxford High School this morning after violent threats on Snapchat that encouraged others not to go to school. The threats came after a fight between two students yesterday. The district recently updated their disciplinary policies in light of other incidents that occurred earlier this year, and this was the first altercation since these updates. Law enforcement handled the altercation accordingly, and school resumed back to its normal schedule by 10 a.m.
This evening, the Overby Center presents 75 years of Mississippi high school journalism. Former Mississippi Scholastic Press Association directors Beth Fitz, Robin Street, and Charlie Michael will join Overby fellow and current MSPA director R.J. Morgan for a discussion. Starting in 1947 as the University of Mississippi Press Institute, MSPA began as a two-day conference held in the spring semester with the goals of helping students improve their high school publications and attracting them to the University of Mississippi. High school students were set to come to campus tomorrow, but that is now canceled due to weather threats. Tonight's event is still on for 5:30.
U.S. News and World Report ranked the University of Mississippi's Master of Business Administration program among the top 50 best in the nation. The university is ranked at number 44 among public universities and in a three-way tie for number 82 spot overall alongside Case Western Reserve University and Pepperdine University. MBA programs have greater enrollment than any other program in the country, and they are ranked using 5 categories: student engagement, expert opinion, faculty credentials and training, student excellence, and student services and technologies.
While students in the business school prepare for their careers, student athletes at Ole Miss are making business ventures of their own through name, image, and likeness deals. NewsWatch reporter Jason Price has a look at how athletes and businesses in the Oxford area are jumping in on the opportunity.
Student athletes have been diving into dollars since the name, image, and likeness legislation passed in July of 2021.
Like outside of practice time, it's like I'm trying to find times to take pictures and get posts done and go around and talk to different brands. That was part of one of my sponsorships that I had.
Javelin thrower for the Ole Miss track and field team, Lauren Hasselton, received her first sponsorship in August. Since her first free hoodie, Hasselton has worked with businesses such as Bear Paw, Graduate Hotel, and Smoothie King. In her experience, Hasselton has learned to carry herself as a business.
You market yourself, when it comes down to it, you are a business now with the passing of the NIL. Of course, your heart is on the field or on the court, but also you are a business, and I think it's important that you utilize that.
With local sponsorships, student athletes can earn thousands of dollars a month. On the national scale, those same student athletes could run into millions.
There are some local deals that you can do, but the real money, the real deals come from national brands. And so whether it's insurance or cars or apparel deals, those are some of the things that we're looking at right now.
Student athletes like Lauren Hasselton have to gather their own sponsors due to rules set by the NCAA. This is where companies like Rare Sports Management come in and help students get paid. CEO Cameron Malasong says his current focus is on the NFL draft, but new projects with baseball are already underway. Malasong jumped into the market because he believes these NIL deals help businesses as well as the student athletes.
I also think it's a good thing for businesses because instead of going after the Patrick Mahomeses of the world, you'll be going after college kids and kind of feeding that younger audience and younger user base, and that's the lifeblood of an organization.
NCAA policy still bans paying athletes more based on their performance, but nothing is set in stone in this new age of college athletics. Jason Price, NewsWatch Ole Miss.
NIL deals are still new to college athletics, so we will likely see more and more Ole Miss athletes getting local and national sponsorships in the years to come.
In coronavirus news, cases at the University of Mississippi remain low, with a total of 3 active cases on campus. Only 2 student cases and 1 faculty case has been reported as of today. Cases on a statewide scale are also low, with a total of 67 new cases reported yesterday.
Today marks another milestone as coronavirus cases decrease. The U.S. military medical team wrapped up its clinical mission today. For the past 2 years, nearly 5,000 federal personnel have been deployed across 49 states and territories. And now their missions are finally over. More than 65% of people in the U.S. are fully vaccinated, and COVID-19 hospitalizations have dropped near their lowest point since the start of the pandemic.
A large portion of the U.S. population has not been vaccinated against COVID, and a new study shows that the new health risk may be wider than we thought. The CDC conducted a study during the peak of the Omicron variant back in January and found that the risk of dying from the virus was 21 times greater for those who were unvaccinated compared to those who were vaccinated and boosted, reporting 15 COVID-19 deaths out of every 100,000 unvaccinated patients, while only 1 out of every 100,000 vaccinated and boosted patients died.
Today, the Food and Drug Administration is authorizing a second booster shot. This additional dose now has emergency use authorization for those 50 years old and older. For both the Pfizer and Moderna vaccines, a second booster shot was previously only allowed for people over the age of 12 who had severe immune deficiencies. The center is not expected to officially recommend a second booster shot, but instead, OK shots be given to those who want them. The medical community is mixed on whether additional booster shots are necessary to properly protect people from the virus.
Lynching is officially a federal hate crime. President Biden signed the Emmett Till Anti-Lynching Act into law this afternoon. The bill is named after a 14-year-old Mississippi boy whose lynching was also a catalyst for the civil rights movement. Advocates have been trying to pass federal anti-lynching legislation for more than a century, and Congress approved the legislation earlier this month with massive bipartisan support. Here in Oxford, there will be a ceremony Saturday afternoon to officially dedicate the new lynching memorial by the courthouse.
In state politics, a bill that would have restored the ballot initiative processes in Mississippi died in conference. House Concurrent Resolution 39 would have allowed the people to place proposed state laws on the ballot with enough signatures, a process that was stripped by the Mississippi Supreme Court when it ruled that medical marijuana was improperly placed on the ballot in 2020. According to House Constitution Committee Chairman Fred Shanks, the 2 chambers were not able to find common ground on the amount of signatures needed to place a measure on the ballot. So, Mississippians will remain without the ability to get issues on the ballot until at least the next legislative session.
Russian officials are shifting their approach to Ukraine, announcing that they plan to drastically reduce their military numbers in 2 major Ukrainian cities. CNN's Chris Wynn has a look at the latest change from Russian officials.
A significant move on 2 fronts. Russia pulling back some forces from Kyiv and Chernihiv following the latest peace talks with Ukraine in Istanbul, with Turkey hailing the talks as the most meaningful progress yet. More than a month into the invasion, many crediting the underestimated resilience of the Ukrainian people.
I do think that Ukraine is in a good negotiating position, much better than they would be had they not been able to push the Russians out of Kyiv.
Paramount to Russia's change in strategy, an agreement on neutrality. A Ukrainian presidential advisor saying a meeting between Putin and Zelensky is now a likelihood. But the shelling of northern cities continued on Tuesday, even as the de-escalation was announced.
Mr. Mayor, what was that?
You have just heard an explosion. That means something has flown in to attack us. You can give this recording to your military and they will tell you that this is not our explosion, this isn't us striking something, this is something that has come from the enemy side.
U.S. officials believe Russian forces are pulling back in some areas of the north to focus on gains in the south and the east. But Secretary of State Antony Blinken cautions that this could be a deception.
There is what Russia says, and there's what Russia does. We're focused on the latter.
In Washington, I'm Chris Wynn reporting.
Ukrainian citizens will be asked to approve the agreement in a referendum before it could go before Parliament.
The president released his budget yesterday, and Republicans have some problems with it. We'll take a look at the details coming up. But first, here's a look at your current conditions.
Each year, hurricanes and major flooding threaten cities, towns, and rural homes across the Gulf states. So chances are there will be more storms and floods near here again. And between school, sports, and social lives, chances are you won't be with your kids when it happens. Will they know what to do? Ready.gov/kids has all the educational tools and information to make the conversation easy. When the time comes, chances are they'll feel prepared, not scared. So talk with your family today.
When I was in foster care, I never knew when I would have to move, so I always had my suitcase ready to go. Then one day, I was adopted. My new parents opened their hearts and home to me. My parents cook my favorite breakfast for me every morning. My parents take me on trips I never thought I would go on. They gave me a home and an even better reason to use that suitcase. My parents aren't perfect, but they're perfect for me.
Yeah! Sam, Elmo!
Oh, hey, Julia! You ready to play band with us? I'm gonna play my clarinet.
And Elmo's gonna play his drum. Drum loud.
Oh, well, you know what to do, Julia.
Julia knows.
With Julia's autism, loud sounds can be too much.
But she still loves to make music. Play band.
Early screening for autism can make a lifetime of difference. Find out more at screenforautism.org.
Where's your emergency? Everyone's on their way. What happened? Your friend's not safe. She's dead? Yes, please get my mom and dad. Oh my God!
After news of Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas's wife texting with former President Donald Trump's chief of staff about overturning the 2022 election results, Democrats are pushing for more oversight of the nation's high court, namely a code of ethics that justices would be sworn to follow.
We need federal ethics rules that apply to the Supreme Court.
The Supreme Court has not been cooperative. It's one of the few areas in our federal government that is not governed by an ethics code. I think that's long overdue.
Meanwhile, senators continue to meet with Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson ahead of a confirmation vote. Several Republicans have already said they will not vote for Jackson, but a 50-50 partisan vote would be enough to put her on the bench.
Plans for statues honoring former Supreme Court Justices Sandra Day O'Connor and Ruth Bader Ginsburg are moving forward. The House voted 349 to 63 to approve to Senate bill calling for the statues to be placed in the Capitol or on Capitol grounds. It passed the Senate unanimously back in December and now heads to President Joe Biden's desk. Ginsburg Saturday on the bench until she died in 2020. O'Connor, the first woman ever appointed to the nation's high court, is still alive, 17 years after she retired in 2005.
President Biden released his plan for the 2023 budget next year, and today lawmakers are starting to take a look at it. CNN's Amy Kiley has a breakdown of what it contains.
Congressional hearings on next year's federal budget are taking off. A House committee is scheduled to look over President Joe Biden's plan today.
The budget I'm releasing today sends a clear message to the American people that what we value.
Here are some of the highlights. Biden wants more funding for NASA. It could put the first woman and person of color on the moon and prepare for human exploration of Mars someday. He also wants to increase funding to combat the opioid epidemic and
We still spend what we need to spend to continue to fight COVID. Those expenditures will be dramatically less than last year.
his plan has money for crime prevention, law enforcement, and defense spending. Republicans say funding for that last item isn't enough.
Putin and Xi will sleep more soundly at night if the Biden administration gets its way on defense funding than if Republicans get ours.
Biden also wants to improve the supply chain and domestic manufacturing and favor clean energy. To pay for all that, he wants to restore some corporate taxes Republicans chopped in 2017. He'd like to increase income tax for people who are worth more than $100 million. And he wants them to pay for unrealized capital gains. Those occur when things like stocks increase in value even before people sell them. Moderate Democratic Senator Joe Manchin says he's skeptical about that idea.
No matter how wealthy they are, they should have to pay. Everyone should pay, but not penalized to the point to where it doesn't make sense.
I'm Amy Kiley reporting.
The federal budget has impacts on your day-to-day life as well, like energy costs and local enforcement resources.
A hallmark of the pandemic economy is far from being fixed. The federal government reports U.S. businesses had 11.3 million job openings to fill in February, slightly more than the economists had predicted. Meanwhile, the number of Americans quitting their jobs inched up to 4.4 million in February. That's slightly higher than the month before, but below the November peak of 4.5 million.
Chris Rock's face may have been sore after the slap from Will Smith at the Oscars, but it doesn't look like his wallet is hurting. Since getting slapped on stage, Rock's comedy tour has seen a surge in ticket sales, with ticket resale site TickPick reporting more tickets sold overnight than total sales over the past month. The spike in sales has sent prices through the roof too, jumping from $46 per ticket to at least $341.
And coming up in sports, the Ole Miss men's basketball team will look to do a lot of rebuilding in the near future after losing some key players to the transfer portal. And the stage is officially set for the NCAA Women's Final Four. I'll have that and more up next in sports.
I am a nurse,
a firefighter, a college student,
a mother, and I am an American soldier.
I will always be ready
for every storm and disaster that threatens my community. I will always be there to protect my neighbors,
my family,
and my country.
We are the Army National Guard.
We are the Army National Guard.
We are the Army National Guard.
Visit nationalguard.com to learn more about part-time service.
Hey, Bobo, do trees tell each other stories?
I'm sorry. I'm afraid I don't know that.
Hey, why don't we go find out? Listen.
I just found out my work party is a +1. You want to go? This is my boss, Ella.
Nice to meet you, Greg.
You're welcome. Nope, I'm high. But I'll clean the kitchen while you're gone.
You're already making good decisions when you're high.
Pool party at Jesse's. Can you drive? I'm toasted.
Nope, I'm high. But I can order us a ride.
Don't make an exception when it comes to driving. If you feel different, you drive different.
We are Ole Miss Rebels. As Mississippi's flagship university, we dig deeper, see farther, work harder. We pioneered human organ transplants. We helped prove Einstein's theory of gravitational waves. We are distinguished as a Carnegie R1 top 2.5% research institution. We are Ole Miss, transforming lives and the world.
The baseball team is looking to get back on track after a rough weekend when they host North Alabama for a midweek showdown tonight. Right-hander Jack Washburn will take the hill for Ole Miss, and right-hander Austin Nichols will be on the bump for the Lions. The Rebs will lean on the bat of Captain Tim Elko to get things going. Offensively, Elko had a pair of dingers in this past weekend series versus Tennessee, moving him into a tie for the 10th most homers in the nation. Be sure to come out to Swayze or tune into the SEC Network to catch tonight's action. First pitch is at 6:30 p.m. And a schedule update. The Rebs were scheduled to head up to Memphis tomorrow for a makeup game with the Memphis Tigers, but bad weather in the forecast has once again forced the game to be canceled. In keeping things on the diamond, Rebel pitcher Anna Borgen was named the SEC Pitcher of the Week today following a lights-out week in the circle. Borgen posted a .78 ERA in 9 innings of work and got a pair of wins over number 19-ranked Missouri. Both of those wins helped the Rebels sweep a ranked conference opponent for the first time since 2017. Ole Miss heads into their next matchup with tons of momentum on their side, and they will be looking to remain undefeated at home tonight when they host UT Martin. First pitch is at 6 p.m. And some of the members of the men's basketball team have opted to enter the transfer portal and take their talents elsewhere. Guard Austin Crowley, guard Luis Rodriguez, and forward Sammy Hunter have all opted to transfer via their social media accounts. Crowley announced today his intentions to transfer via his social media. The West Point native started 11 games for Ole Miss last season and averaged 4.8 points per game. Rodriguez announced via his social media that he planned to test the waters of the NBA draft process and also entered the portal. He is coming off a season in which he played in 31 games and averaged 6.4 points and 5.4 rebounds per contest. Hunter is also looking to find a new school. The Nassau native is entering his senior year, and he averaged 2.9 points per game in limited minutes for the Rebs last season. We wish all these athletes the best of luck in their future endeavors. And after plenty of backlash, the NFL held a vote among the teams today regarding the overtime rules, and the newly proposed rule system was ratified by a 29-3 vote. The overtime rules will remain the same for regular season games, but the playoff overtime rules will be changing. In previous years, all overtimes began with a coin flip, and the team that won the coin flip got possession of the ball. What followed was a sudden death overtime where if the team with the ball scored a touchdown, the game was over. The new rules now allow for both teams to get a chance to possess the ball, which will allow for a more fair overtime that does not have as much riding on the coin toss. And ending things off on the hardwood, March Madness is heating up, and 4 teams have punched their tickets to the women's Final Four. 1 seed South Carolina will square off with 1 seed Louisville, and on the other side of the bracket, 2 seed UConn will face 1 seed Stanford. The Gamecocks cruised to a victory in the Elite Eight, defeating Creighton by a score of 80-50. South Carolina got it done on both ends, out-rebounding the opposition by 20 and shooting over 50% from the field. Louisville took down Michigan to keep their championship hopes alive, and it was guard Haley Van Lith who led the way, scoring 22 points. And the UConn Huskies are always a tough team to beat in March, and they are riding the momentum of their double overtime victory over number 1 seed NC State in the Elite Eight. Stanford took down Texas to advance to the Final Four, and they held them to just under 33% shooting. The stage is set for a very entertaining Final Four. Be sure to tune in to see who will be crowned champion. That's all I've got for sports. Make sure to follow us on Twitter, @Rebel_Watch, for the latest sports updates.
Thanks, Carson. Firefighters in Florida embarked on a high-altitude rescue mission over the weekend. We'll have a closer look at the animal they set out to save coming up next on NewsWatch.
These are more than just the sounds of a safe place to go after school. These are the sounds of interest being ignited and of mentors making an impact. At Boys and Girls Clubs, we don't do just one thing. We do whatever it takes to meet the needs of every kid who comes through those doors. Because whatever it takes is what it takes to build great futures. Great futures start here.
Creating a legacy takes time, takes dedication, spirit, and a greater vision. That vision starts here at the University of Mississippi. What will you be remembered by? Your character, your contributions, your friendship. Your legacy will define who we are now and who we are becoming for our state, our students, and our future. Ole Miss, build your legacy.
There's a shelter pet who wants to meet you. Meet one today. Visit theshelterpetproject.org. Adopt.
Take a look under your bed. Find stuff under there? What about jobs? No? Now try your closet. Still no jobs? Just more stuff? Well, you really have both. See, stuff is defined as household articles considered as a group. Sometimes this stuff is no longer needed. Wait, no longer needed? That can't be right. Because remember those jobs you were looking for? Those are really needed. And they're the stuff inside your stuff. Our job is to unlock those jobs. And it starts when you donate your stuff to your local Goodwill. Here's how we do it. When you donate to Goodwill, we sell your stuff to provide job training for people right here in your community. So just by teaming up with Goodwill, you help create jobs. And isn't that worth parting with the leftover keytar from your 80s cover band? Goodwill. Donate stuff, create jobs.
Miami area firefighters set out to rescue a bald eagle over the weekend after it got tangled up in a fishing line. The rescue team was made up of firefighters and wildlife rescue officials as well as a zoo from the zoo in Miami.
Firefighters hoped that the young eagle named R2 would stick around her nest, but the bird took off and was found in a nearby backyard, where firefighters had to remove even more fishing line from her foot before returning her to her nest again.
That's all for tonight. For NewsWatch Ole Miss, I'm Annabelle Kenny.
And I'm Celeste Slay. Make sure to follow us on social media at NewsWatch Ole Miss for the latest on Ole Miss and beyond.
Thank you and good night.